On Sunday Night Football, we got to see incredible television. Tom Brady against Bill Belichick. Tom Brady against his former team, the New England Patriots. It was a night game. It was Tom Brady back in Foxborough. And I'm not ashamed to admit I cried. No, I'm not a Patriots fan. I consider myself a Tom Brady fan, though. His work ethic really, really inspires me. But the reason why I teared up was because I just felt so nostalgic. I remember, I thought of my dad and all the nights I watched Tom Brady in Gillette Stadium at night on Sunday Night Football with my dad. And I don't know if anyone else had that thought. For me, it was like, oh my gosh. I had no idea how much seeing this kind of weird scene, this specific thing, Tom Brady in Gillette Stadium, I just had no idea how much I missed having that and how comforting it was. It was kind of like watching Peyton Manning play again or something. It's like, oh, this was my childhood. Then I live over 2,000 miles away from my dad now. I didn't watch a game with him or anything. And I just thought of my dad. I got emotional. I don't know if anyone else felt that way watching Tom Brady, but just this feeling of like really strong nostalgia. Like, oh, we're back. Oh my gosh. I remember this. This is how I grew up. Anyway, the Buccaneers beat the Patriots 19-17. It was actually a really good game. Came right down to the very, very end. And I know the narrative that everybody wants me to talk about is Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick. Brady versus his former team and his former coach. Now, I really, really loved how vocal Bill Belichick was about the fact that he hates this narrative that Brady and Belichick hate each other. Bill Belichick is a man of very few words regularly, but he came out and was like, look, I hate this. This is so stupid. They won 6 Super Bowls together. Apparently, they had a private meeting after the game. I love that Bill Belichick came out and said, look, I love Tom. He's great. And really came out, and it felt like a moment where they didn't bury the hatchet. That's not the right way to put it, but they were like publicly acknowledging, hey, the media is all wrong. We don't hate each other. Here's the thing. Belichick and Brady broke up. And I don't know if I've certainly broken up with a lot of people. And if you're listening, I hope you've had multiple relationships because you learn a lot when you do that. But how often have you broken up with someone and then been like best friends with them afterward? I mean, there's probably an exception here and there where one person's like, oh yeah, we get along great and whatever. I mean, there's always an exception to the rule, but it really doesn't happen that you break up with someone and you're buddy and best friend and telling them, hey, here's how my new girlfriend does stuff, and here's how, blah, blah. You talk about your dates with your next, it doesn't happen. Now, I will say, I do hope that you appreciate your ex. I actually talked to my ex-girlfriend last week, and for me, it was really kind of healing. We ended up saying, like, I told her how grateful I was for her and for what it was while it happened, because that relationship led me to where I am now. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. I'm engaged to my wonderful fiance, Liz. I am getting married next summer. I live in my dream location, Hawaii. Like, I'm so happy, and my life is so amazing and enriched and full. And I owe a lot of that to the journey I took with my ex-girlfriend in a different stage of my life. And I appreciate all the times we had. It was a valuable time in my life. So I say all that to say, I would imagine that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick feel that same way. They won 6 Super Bowls together. You don't do that and not have a couple really fond memories along the way. I don't know. I was glad to hear that Belichick was like, no, I don't hate the guy. Like, come on, what are you talking about? And yeah, it ended. Bill Belichick moved on with his career, got a new quarterback. He's got Mac Jones. But in the end, they both won. Tom Brady went and won a Super Bowl. Belichick is building for his future. I don't know. It was cool. And I'm glad it was a close game, 19-17. There was nobody to bash afterward except for the Patriots kicker missed a kick. Like 4th and 3, a minute left. I think it was 4th and 3. A 56-yard field goal in the rain. I actually thought, if anything, Bill Belichick probably should have gone for it there if you want anything to criticize from this game, but I don't know. Look, my favorite thing about this game, one, actually, weirdly enough, my favorite thing about this game was the Patriots' young quarterback, Mac Jones. We'll talk about that in a moment. But people want to hear about Brady and Belichick. So Belichick's game plan to slow down Brady was every single play, without fail, they disguised their coverage. They'd line up one way, and then the minute the ball was snapped, they'd switch it up and do something else. And it was really, it didn't stop Tom Brady completely, but it did slow him down. Basically, Tom could not trust anything he saw pre-snap. He'd line up, it looks like man coverage, he'd snap the ball, and then bam, the defenders all move around, and suddenly you got zone coverage, like, oh no, and it's every time. You always have to catch a snap and verify what you saw pre-snap, but it's even more frustrating when people are moving around as much as the Patriots were. And the Patriots did not allow Tom Brady to get anything easy. They're like, we are going to make every single play really, really challenging. And I felt like Bill Belichick was kind of just flexing his muscles as a coach, because if your team can disguise coverages every single play, it shows your guys are well coached and really, really well disciplined. It's not easy to do, and you have to have every single defender on the same page. It's really impressive. I thought what the Patriots did was really, really impressive to me. And Brady wasn't perfect. It did seem like he denies it, but the rain seemed like it affected him. There's a couple throws he just blatantly missed where you're like, that's not a throw that Tom Brady would normally miss. Now, in this game, Tom Brady did become the NFL's all-time leading passer. And it's crazy he did it against his former team. I love that. It's a weird, like, of course, it all comes together in this one game, and it's kind of like, people are always like, the NFL is rigged and scripted, but that's one of those moments that you're like, well, if there ever was an argument for the NFL being scripted, it's Tom Brady becoming the NFL all-time leading passer, playing against the New England Patriots. He passed Drew Brees for the most all-time passing yards. And by the way, I don't know how you feasibly would really, the rigged argument never makes any sense, because it's not feasible to make all these different things all happen together. There's too many variables. It's an absurd claim. I hate that. I just want to be clear about that. Tom Brady passed Drew Brees for the most passing yards all time in the NFL, and it was very cool. Drew Brees was there. He's on the sideline working for NBC. It's like, wow, what a weird, another special, fun, just a night full of really, really cool special moments for the Patriots and for Tom Brady. And my thought there is, there are so few quarterbacks who maximize their potential. And there are three that did and have: Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady. And I try to put stuff on my lips. When you talk like this, by the way, you get really, really, like, I talk for like an hour and a half in a row, nonstop. It's really hard in your mouth. Anyway, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, those are three guys I really, really respect so much. And anyone who can master their craft and become really like the top dog in what they do, I don't know how you don't respect that. It always blows me away when people are, I hate this guy or that guy. It's like, does nobody appreciate work ethic and drive and determination? I really do. And it's kind of an interesting conversation. I kind of like stumbled into that. Is Brady and Brees and Manning all maximized their potential. They got the very most out of their career they possibly could. Every little skill they could work on. I mean, you can't fix how tall you are. You can only, to some degree, fix how strong or how fast you are. Like, sorry, but Drew Brees, no matter what he did, was never going to run like Lamar Jackson. But Drew Brees maximized. Every little thing he could control: his accuracy, his timing, his footwork, his decision-making. He mastered that. The mental side of his game. Brady, Manning, Brees, they're all that same way. And it's kind of fun. I'm not going to explore more of it today, but that thought of like, what guys haven't maxed out their potential? Because most guys don't even get close. The guy that comes to mind most of all, like the biggest miss I can think of, is Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell, he was so talented. It's unbelievable. Anybody watch like college film of Jamarcus Russell at LSU? It's unbelievable. You're like, wow, this guy, if only he had half the work ethic as Tom Brady. It's just like so sad. But Tom Brady, like, the thing you have to love about him, the thing I will always love about him, is his work ethic and the way he controlled everything he could control, mastered and dominated it. Anyway, I really want to talk about Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a Patriots' young rookie quarterback. Man, I don't think that he did, but you certainly could argue that Mac Jones outplayed Tom Brady on Sunday Night Football. Now, remember, the Buccaneers defense was injured. Their secondary's all banged up. And Tom Brady, unlike Mac Jones, Tom Brady was dealing with, coverage is getting disguised every single play. And certainly Brady was more impressive doing what he did against a much more difficult defense to play against. But still, Mac Jones was awesome against Tampa. He blew me away. He was 31 for 40 passing, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, at one point, Mac Jones in this game had 19 completed passes in a row. That's a new record, by the way, for rookie quarterbacks. And I just cannot believe how far along Mac Jones is mentally in his development process. He's calling plays at the line of scrimmage. He's making great decisions, getting rid of the ball very, very quickly. He's finding checkdowns when he needs to. The development of Mac Jones is just unbelievable. He's really quickly become the Patriots' next franchise quarterback. I hate calling him, the next Tom Brady. But it is weird. I mean, that's unfair, right? To compare anybody to Tom Brady, especially as a rookie, it's just absurd. But it's weird how similar Mac Jones looks to Tom Brady when you watch him play. Like, very clearly, Mac Jones grew up watching Tom Brady play and modeled his game after him, and now he's taken the role that Tom Brady once had. It's weird and kind of fun. And how much fun do you think Mac Jones, they lost the game. But doesn't some part of him, like the little kid inside of him, have to feel like, dude, I just threw 2 touchdowns and almost beat Tom Brady on Sunday Night Football. That's very, very cool for Mac Jones. And now part of why he looks so good is because he's got this great team around him. Like, of all the rookie quarterbacks, Mac Jones for sure has the best supporting cast around him. But still, Mac Jones is doing stuff that is very, very high level, and his pocket movement is outstanding. He gets the ball out very, very quickly. The time from when Mac Jones decides to throw the ball and then he releases the ball is so quick. It's like, bam! He just so quickly sees someone open. He doesn't even separate very much. Really, he actually kind of lifts the ball and pushes it out. Unless he's throwing the ball deep, he really doesn't do much of a separation of the football. And I had so much fun. I loved watching Mac Jones on Sunday Night Football. It was really, really cool. And I really also could not think of a better team for Mac Jones to play for. They supported him really, really well. He's got 2 great tight ends to throw to and a good offensive line. It's just, you love to see a young quarterback get help in the NFL. It's so rare to see that. And, gosh, dang it, man. I'm really happy. I love watching Mac Jones play. It's so rare to see a guy who is coming along so well in their development process. I'm happy for him because a lot of these young quarterbacks struggle early on. And Mac Jones, credit to his mental ability, he is way more advanced than I thought he would be at this point in his career. And it's cool to see. Now, I have 2 final notes. Number one is that Tampa Bay's secondary is decimated. They have a bunch of injuries. Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy-Bunting, their 3 top corners in Tampa are all injured. And that's a terrible, terrible, unfortunate, turn of events. They had to bring Richard Sherman in off the street, basically, and he played with no practice, which is very impressive, but it wasn't like he played very well. The Buccaneers secondary, look, Sherman didn't have to win, so who am I to criticize? Better than me. But the Bucs secondary is a really big weakness. They're going to struggle with all year. I don't know how they're going to defend the pass against better teams, and I really worry. It's just this is going to be a nagging problem that's going to, unless they get healthy at the end of the year, this could be the reason why the Buccaneers fall short this year. Is their secondary just has too many problems, top to bottom, with injuries. Now, my second note is this: Matthew Judon, the Patriots linebacker. He's unbelievable. I want to give him a shout out. He's the best player in New England, and he caused Tampa all kinds of problems. He's able to get after the quarterback. He had a sack. He's really physical against the run. Matthew Judon, they gave him a 4-year, $56 million deal in New England, and that was money well spent. Matthew Judon is earning every dollar of that deal, and good for him. Good for the Patriots. Both sides are winning. I want to give him a shout out. Matthew Judon played very, very well against Tom Brady.